Hello and welcome to episode 28 of Stop the Press. I'm Rob Chadwick. I'm a journalism teacher at Exeter College. I'm here with Nick Copson, who worked in the business for 20 years in marketing. And I'm here with Bill Martin, who was editor of local and national papers for 30 odd years. Hello, gentlemen.
Hello, Rob. Hello, Bill.
Rob, Nicholas.
We're recording on the 2nd of March, 2026. And I've no idea why we're back in the studio. Nothing's happened in the last week. So just so listeners from any time can listen to us. In the last week, America and Israel have started bombing Iran. And Trump has said...
Iran has started bombing everyone.
And Iran has started bombing everyone in reply. So we will start with that. It's the logical place to start. It would be the elephant in the room if we didn't. How do we feel about the press coverage at the moment? Who wants to start us off?
Well, we've immediately gone to a war footing, haven't we? You know, the sort of 24-hour rolling. Clive Marie's wherever he is, alive in his flak jacket, and there's sort of nothing else in the news right now, is there?
It always reminds
quite
me...
rightly.
Yeah, obviously. It always reminds me of the day-to-day. Did you ever see the episode where war broke out and... What's his name in the day-to-day? Is it Chris Barry? I think.
It was, yeah.
And they sort of wheel in a set from nowhere because they've managed to start a war, and it's suddenly completely lit differently, and it's like, this is war. And
I just hope
you can see how excited they've been.
I just hope amid all this, nobody forgets about Andrew Mabbitt in Windsor and Peter Mandelson. I hope they don't just get swept under the carpet.
Yesterday's news, Nick. We've all forgotten about that. I know, it's such a shame, isn't it? That's all fish wrapping.
Well, is that Trump's motivation?
What? To deflect so massively? What, to start a war?
Yeah.
There will be conspiracy theorists out there who think this is all started.
I'm a conspiracy theorist.
There already are.
Are there?
No, it can't be.
Unbelievable.
You know. I think. Well, it would be unbelievable, wouldn't it? But I mean, there's no question it's taken media focus away from that. Although there will be people still digging around in the files, that thing. And
of course, there will. Yeah.
In a sense, it's a bit of a relief, isn't it? You know, to not have Fergie did this, Andrew Windsor did this. You know, whatever the sort of latest toe curling discovery being revealed on the hour, everywhere it was for a minute, wasn't it? But I mean, we're definitely in the media and the world is in a war footing now, isn't it? And I find it quite frightening, actually. If not, certainly a little depressing.
What about you, Nick? How are you finding it?
I'm not at that level yet. But I mean, that's the nature of media, isn't it? It'll report on it, it'll heighten it, and it'll expose it, and it'll, for most people anxiety is paramount amongst most of the population these days. It'll make it worse and worse, and people will be frightened.
Yeah,
and quite rightly so. Possibly, I'm not there yet myself. But who knows how this will escalate? I mean, America are more of a superpower than ever before. But that the Middle East conflict historically has been impossible to suppress and stop, hasn't it? So it'll be interesting how this plays out now.
And very difficult to extricate yourself from.
Correct, yes.
And so Trump's isolationist, we won't start forever wars thing, this is a very risky move for him, I'd have said.
Well, particularly as it seems, that he was hoping to go, I think he was hoping it would be over by now. And that there are no signs of it being over at all. You got a sense that this could go on for weeks, if not months now. It was a brave call, wasn't it? Saying, dropping the hand grenade or the bomb and then saying, right, Iranian people,
rise up.
We've killed your leader. You rise up and sort it all out.
Yeah, I mean, they're not likely to do so, are they, after what happened a few weeks ago?
Well, we don't know, do we? But I mean, it would take a lot, wouldn't it? It would take, Iran's history. I think the son of the Shah's being touted as the next leader of Iran, that sort of thing. But then there was a revolution to get rid of the Shah and an uprising to get rid of him for a reason. He wasn't that popular either. So it's yet another invasion or of a very troubled region, and I think the consequences could go on for a long time.
And to your point, Rob, you can maybe they'll eventually suppress it. Hopefully, very quickly they'll suppress it. I don't know, but the country is massively unstable, and history has proven that the West can't easily stabilize these types of nations. Whatever they do, it will probably maintain its instability moving forwards, and this will arise again. Then probably this situation.
And it's interesting that Trump said in one breath, on one day, rise up. This is your opportunity. He has said when we've finished. In all honesty, so you don't know what he's got in mind in terms of the Revolutionary Guard and what they're planning to do. But then, like a couple of days later, we're ready to talk to Iran again. The new leaders will have a chat, and it's like, well, you can't tell people to rise up and then suddenly say, right, okay, well, we'll have a chat, because those people will go, oh, we don't want anything. We can't rise up while those people might. There's even a chance of those people being in power. Basically, they just can't do it. They'll end up killed.
Doesn't feel like they've gone in with an exit strategy,
as usual.
As usual.
So coming back to my question, how do we feel about the media coverage? Other than they've gone into war footing. Are they? So there was a bit of when the Libya stuff happened, there was a bit of isn't this and the Arab Spring happened, there was a bit of, isn't this exciting? Everyone's going to be free and democratic and stuff. And the BBC almost kind of got behind it and didn't report it as a neutral thing. They reported it as a good thing. Do we think the BBC and the rest have kind of been neutral enough and have been able to stand apart from it and report it well, or what? What do we think so far?
Well, it's really early days, isn't it, to make a judgment on that? I mean, this only happened on Saturday morning. It's only Monday afternoon now. So at the minute, I think it's just been a news cycle. We haven't quite got into the hours and hours of analysis and, security experts being dragged up from left, right and centre to fill time on the telly when less is happening. I mean, so much has happened in the last 48 hours. It has just been a news operation, hasn't it? I haven't sensed any form of, sort of cheerleading that you might have seen around the Arab Spring, or certainly around the Falklands or Desert Storm and that sort of stuff, mainly because at the minute we're not involved, are we?
Although today they were trying to bomb Cyprus, a British airbase in Cyprus, weren't they, today? So maybe we are involved now. And Starmer said that they can use that America can use our bases. So I think we probably are involved now.
We are.
It's to your point about worrying. It's worrying that there isn't an apparent exit strategy, because it could then escalate to the other Middle Eastern nations.
Yeah.
I don't know, who was that? Pakistan, is it? Iraq?
Process in Pakistan already, aren't
yeah.
they?
And there's factions, isn't there? There's the Hezbollah, those sort of people. There's potential for, it's a backlash now against the West.
Yeah.
And this will inevitably bring the UK into it.
And I worry about the people in that country. I mean, Iran is such a terrible country to be an ordinary citizen in. I just worry that we're not going to make it any better for them. I'm all for changing the leadership. It's like they're horrible people, but only if we can make the world better for them. And I'm not convinced we'll manage to do that.
No, I don't think. I'm not convinced either. It's a complete,
I'm not convinced Trump even wants to do that. I don't think he cares.
Well, it comes back to what is the motivation as well. Is it to maintain world peace, or is there some other conspiracy motivation behind it? Is it about oil ownership or prices, or I don't know. I don't know anything about it yet, but I'm worried about what his motivation is. If you're
a country that's reliant on oil, having that Hormuz Strait in Iranian hands or at the mercy of Iran closing it down is really, really dangerous, isn't it?
It is so dangerous. Yeah.
It's closed now, isn't it?
Is it closed?
Isn't it effectively closed because none of the tankers can get the insurance to go through it?
At this moment in time?
Yeah, at this moment in time.
That does make sense, doesn't it?
Yeah.
Is it the Hormuz Strait? Is that right?
Yeah.
I'm going to look it up.
But, I mean, oil prices gone through the roof already, haven't they?
Correct, yeah.
Yeah. So who benefits from that? Russia?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Shell. BP, any oil company for a start.
But you're glad you bought with those shares.
Well, it'll help the FTSE.
I'm really pleased that I took out a fixed rate mortgage. I was thinking, should I go tracker so it'll go lower? I think I'm vindicated now. I think this could have a long-term effect on inflation, which will postpone all those interest rate cuts that might have been around the corner.
Well, depending on how long it goes on for, it could have a long-term effect on everything, couldn't
Exactly. Yeah, exactly. I mean, it's bad that I'm thinking of that when people are dying and stuff, but you got to think about your own life, haven't you?
Well,
yes, thank you. I'll answer my own question.
I think
so for them,
just so stunned by your.
Let me just ponder what I think.
Your flippant remark.
I was being quite flippant. But yeah, in terms of the coverage, it is at the point where it's kind of this is happening. There will come a point where we get into analysis and stuff, and it will be interesting to see where we go with it. Are we going to be broadly supportive of the measure because we're getting rid of a despotic regime which has treated its people terribly, or are we going to gravitate in a BBC way towards the left-hand side of the argument where everything's bad because we shouldn't be getting involved and all of that type of stuff? It's noticeable that Zara Sultana and Jeremy Corbyn have immediately come out and said this is an outrage. We shouldn't be going into Iran.
As expected. Yeah.
But it's also noticeable that Tucker Carlson did the same as well. So we are basically in a situation where the extremists on either side of the argument are saying this is a terrible thing to do, which is interesting, isn't it?
But entirely predictable. I don't think anyone's convinced that it is
a good idea.
Well, the build up to it is confusing, isn't it? The messages that's come out from Trump has been confusing. It was only. when was he elected? 13 months ago.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. Well, he's sworn in January.
Yeah, so sworn in January.
It's 14 months. Isn't it?
A major part of that was America First. A major part of that was no foreign wars.
Yeah.
Only 3 months ago, wasn't he was given a peace prize by FIFA or.
He was.
Someone.
That looks good now, doesn't it?
Well, no, it looks terrible.
Gianni Infantino.
Well, yeah.
That was a good decision.
And trying to get his own Nobel Peace Prize, which obviously he was never going to get. But.
And it is only, once you go down that road, it's only 3 months until the World Cup, isn't it? So the implications of all this, I don't think anyone's really quite sure what, has driven Trump to press the button on this one. It seems very confusing. He'll in one breath he'll say it's because Iran nearly had a nuclear weapon or was about to have a nuclear weapon or wouldn't sign up to a deal with him. In another breath he'll say it's regime change. It seems very confused.
Yeah.
And I think for anyone, I don't often feel sorry for Keir Starmer, but probably I do a bit on this one. It's difficult. It's difficult to read the bloke. What's he going to do next?
Oh, it must be horrible being a leader of a mid-range country nowadays, because it's like, where do you stand? Do you support America because in your gut you probably need them, or do you stand up to them and say this is ridiculous and take your chances as a nation that stands apart from them?
I think Keir Starmer will sit on the fence as long as he can until his hands are pressed, and he'll have to. I think he'll have to, or the UK, will have to.
Make a decision.
Yeah, and I think it will likely go in America's favour. I don't see how we can stand away from that.
Politically, his backbenchers will want him to renounce it without a doubt. His left-wing backbenchers will be saying, we want you to renounce it. And his political survival as a prime minister might depend on him actually, on his decision. It might be, if he stands up and renounces America's action, then his left-wingers might keep him in power. But then that might mess up our relationship with them. It's such a difficult situation to be in as leader of the Labour Party, without a doubt.
Particularly if you're a weak leader.
Yeah, particularly.
I think over the last 2 days, he's just, he doesn't have the charisma or the gravitas of a Blair. I thought his statement, that he'd taken some legal advice, had decided not to let the Americans. It just came across as unbelievably weak.
Yeah, especially as he's a lawyer and an international human rights lawyer, and so knows that he doesn't need legal advice. It's just made up words, isn't it?
Well, I think so, and I think international law can be will be interpreted by highfalutin barristers in courts all over the world, and you know,
the reality is he probably doesn't like it, right? But he's not, to your point, he's not strong enough to denounce it. He's
That's
not
true.
strong enough publicly to denounce it.
He's not strong enough as a person, but he's also not strong enough politically within his party and
exactly.
stuff.
Yeah.
And both things are conspiring against him, basically.
but it feels uncomfortable, isn't it? You know, when I read the news that they'd started bombing Tehran on Saturday morning, I thought, oh no. And then I read that Israel were involved as well, and you think, well, hang on, what's the motivation? It feels like Israel's motivation is going to be very different from America's. It just feels like you almost said a word there that starts with the word cluster, but I better not say that as being recorded. But you know, the whole of the Middle East is now sort of throwing missiles at each other, and nobody's quite sure what all this is about, I don't think.
I mean, they're saying it's to obliterate the nuclear threat, which they obliterated 2 months ago.
Yeah.
I wouldn't be surprised. I mean, America's intelligence power at this day, this moment in time, is supreme. They clearly wiped out the Ayatollah pretty quickly.
Yeah, very
Right?
quickly.
Like within 36 hours, is it, or something?
Yeah.
So my instinct is that they saw an opportunity through months, if not years, of monitoring this like forensically, and saw an opportunity to grab it. That's my instinct on here. Perhaps the nuclear presence power was, it's a legitimate threat, perhaps, but obviously that's an easier ruse to pass through. The media. And,
it's
and
an
the
easier
political
story
circles.
to tell,
Correct,
isn't it?
exactly.
Yeah.
So
like weapons of mass destruction.
spot on. But I suspect it was the time was right to do something about it. And it's an ongoing pressure cooker, the Middle East, isn't it?
So in less than 2 months, we've done Venezuela.
Yeah.
I say we. Now we've done Iran.
Just to be clear, we're nothing to do with all of this.
And also, to be clear, there's no way he's getting a peace prize.
Yeah, I mean, that's gone for Burton, hasn't it? You can see why he wanted it this year. I reckon he had it in his mind. This stuff was going to happen.
Got to feel who's next.
Yeah.
And you've got to feel that, the rule of international... I mean, it's just a joke, isn't it? If China decided they wanted to have Taiwan tomorrow afternoon, you couldn't really blame them.
No, indeed.
No.
Why wouldn't they?
And especially with America kind of throwing bombs around in the Middle East, they're not going to have the capacity to do anything about it.
Putin wants Ukraine?
Yeah.
Okay.
Oh, it's horrendous. The whole thing's horrendous. As you say, it is scary times, without a doubt. There's too much going on. And you do worry that it's just going to explode everything, don't you?
It used to be as well, didn't it? I can remember... Do you remember when I was like under 10, always the news on Christmas Day or on Boxing Day would be about the Iraq war, or, because nothing was happening in here at home or in Europe, because everyone was celebrating Christmas. It was all be about that, and that war always felt a really long way away, didn't it? And kind of like, well, so what, really?
Yeah.
But now, the world, through connection, through mobile phones and that sort of thing, the world has become a much smaller place, hasn't it? And I actually know people who live in Dubai.
Yeah.
I know
And
people
they
who
were
live in
messaging
Dubai.
me over the weekend, and there's probably lots of people from Plymouth. Well, I know someone from Plymouth who was due to be going to Dubai this week on holiday. So it all feels a little bit closer to home, doesn't it?
There is a little bit of me that's quite enjoying all those people who said, oh, Britain's rubbish, I'm going to go and live in Dubai, suddenly finding out Britain's not quite so rubbish.
Yeah.
I know that's like, doesn't speak well of me or anything.
Rio Ferdinand, you're coming home now.
Yeah, exactly. There's something about it that just makes me think, yeah, fuck you to those people, frankly. But obviously I don't wish them anything other than unhappiness.
Will you bleep that out later?
No.
I wish them prosperity.
There's a little bit of me that just takes quite a bit of enjoyment of those people who have been slagging off Britain
I
suddenly being a bit uncomfortable.
I never buy into the whole Britain's rubbish.
No, it's rubbish. The whole thing's rubbish.
It really winds me up.
Yeah, same here. Hence the fact I'm quite pleased that the people in Dubai are coming under a little bit of pressure for a change, which is quite nice.
I'm not sure I would go to that.
I don't hope they die or anything. I'm pleased that they've found that it's not quite the panacea, the utopia they think it is, basically. That's all. Anyway, that's just because I'm a horrible person, isn't it? The next question I was going to ask you about, because it made me laugh, was what of Trump's board of peace now? It's like
Only had its first meeting last week, didn't it?
I know. What have they got to say about this?
So I heard, this is not my joke, I heard it on the radio this morning. Someone said, maybe Trump has just become bored of peace now.
Very good.
I mean, that was a ridiculous idea when he announced it, wasn't it?
It looks even more ridiculous now, doesn't it?
Well, it looked even more ridiculous when you saw the lineup of people who had signed up and those who hadn't. I mean, it's ridiculous, isn't it?
I read over the weekend that Pakistan and Afghanistan are squaring up to each other as well, and they're likely to be at war in the not too distant future as well. It's just a whole powder keg in the middle of that
it always is.
area, and it's just it is, as you say, very scary indeed. Yeah,
This is a bit like fights that break out in the crowds at a boxing match where there's two fighters having a fight in the
Or
ring.
in Union Street.
Yeah, and then half the crowd start punching each other.
He goes, so I goes.
I mean, we're dumbing it down massively, but there's a little bit of, you're right, Rob, it's a pressure cooker. Tensions at the highest ever, and I'm not surprised if something sparks something else.
Well, there's a conversation I had earlier with someone who said, we've seen all this before there, haven't we? But to me, it feels a little bit different. It feels more widespread. It feels like there are more people with more arms in the Middle East now than there ever have been before. And more of those people are willing to use them. And as soon as you've got someone like Trump who decides that, I'm going to use them, then it feels like everyone's up to it now, doesn't it?
I do think it's a good idea that we stop Iran getting a nuclear bomb.
Correct,
So if that is the root of it, and it can happen, then I think that's a good idea. I think those people who run those countries are not stable enough to have bombs that are of mass destruction. That seems like a good idea to stop those countries having it.
Yeah, and that I think that is strong motivation for, going back to his board of peace, that's probably strong motivation for doing what they did. I probably think it's more about the timing than anything. That's why they've done it. They've saw an opportunity and they've grabbed it. Probably like he did with Venezuela.
Yeah.
Rightly or wrongly, I don't know, but
you can't help but feel that he had in mind a Venezuela model where basically kind of take out the leader, get in touch with the new leaders, say we won't do any more. You're happy to go on with what you want as long as you do what we want in terms of oil and stuff. And it doesn't feel like Iran are up for that at all. Whereas the Venezuelan leadership were like, yep, we'll do that, no problem.
Yeah, I think it was perhaps a little more nuanced than that, but it feels like the Venezuela thing, again, he after declaring himself president of Venezuela, he then appealed to the people, didn't he, and claimed to be their sort of saviour, and then sort of walked out and left them, as far as I can see, with a very similar leader, just one who's prepared to do what Trump wants now.
Yeah, and I think he had that in mind. He has that in mind for Iran, and maybe it works out like that. His model is all about superpowers with bombs doing what they want and taking control of the world, isn't it? That is what he's got in mind. That's why he's all over Putin and Russia. That's why he thinks Ukraine should capitulate and give Russia what they want, because he sees Russia as someone who's got a nuclear bomb who can basically do what they want. And why should Ukraine get in their way, sort of thing. I'm convinced that's what it is.
And then you end up with three players, don't you?
Yeah. China, Russia, and the US.
Yeah. I wouldn't be surprised if a lot of this is to do with oil as well. I don't know how much, and I don't know enough about this, but I mean, it's clearly going to spike oil prices, and that maybe is a risk to the US economy. But I wouldn't be surprised if a lot of it is to do with control of oil, and the inherent risk of having Iran uncontrolled would be part of that.
They were saying, I was listening to Times Radio the other day, over the weekend, and they were saying that actually China gets a lot of its oil from Iran, And actually, if he can start controlling the oil from Iran, then that is another blow to China after because they were getting their oil from Venezuela as well. So you're probably right, Nick. There's a bit of behind the scenes there that's part of the agenda to kind of try and control Chinese oil to a degree. Basically.
So here's the spin coming out already. So U.S. Defense Secretary says Iran was planning nuclear blackmail of the West at a press conference, at the U.S. press conference.
That's the new weapons of mass destruction, isn't it?
Yeah. I wouldn't be surprised. That's where they they shape the intelligence to suit the end game,
and that may be true.
Yeah, it may well be happening. It may well could have happened, but
or it may not.
Or they just put the pieces in place to satisfy the decision that had been made already. So,
and there's part of me that thinks that these people just like looking tough. They're just a bunch of playground bullies who enjoy standing in front of cameras saying how tough we can be.
But when you say these people, who do you mean? What, the Americans? The
Americans. Pete Hegseth.
There's definitely a sense
if you
of
kill
that.
Americans, we will hunt you down,
Yeah.
Pete Hegseth says. I mean, honestly, it just feels like they really enjoy those press conferences where they get to look tough in front of
Well, look at the name
press.
of the operation.
Oh, Trump loves it.
Operation, is it Epic Fury?
Unbelievable. I was going to bring it up. It's called Operation Epic Fury. I mean, it just feels like a bunch of children, doesn't it?
Is Norman Schwarzkopf still around? I want Norman Schwarzkopf back in command. Is it?
Storming Norman.
Storming Norman.
Forgotten about him.
Supreme Commander of the Allied Forces. I want him back.
Storming Norman.
Operation Epic Fury. It's unbelievable, isn't it? Yeah. So what next? What do you think happens here? You know,
We don't know, do we?
Do you think the press start start towing the line to Trump? They probably will in America to a degree. There'll probably be a get behind the campaign thing in America like there was in Vietnam and stuff.
Well, possibly. I mean, that didn't work, did it?
The new McCarthyism.
It went on too long, though, didn't it? It depends how long it goes on for.
It depends how long it goes on for, doesn't it? But the sense I'm picking, I'm only picking up on what you hear on the radio and through bits and pieces of American press I read and things like that. But I get the impression this is a real risk for Trump.
Yeah.
In that I think, if it goes on for a long time, he's going to be involved in something that he doesn't want to be, basically. And certainly the American people or America won't want him to be. There'll be sections of America, won't there? They'll be urging him to get in there and put troops on the ground. And but I'm a bit like that. I sort of think once you start something like this, you may as well get in there and finish it. I don't get the sort
no
of
point in just dropping bombs.
drop a hand grenade and run away.
There's parallels with the Iraq invasion, 2003, was it?
Yeah.
But back then they had America on their side, the public on their side, because of what happened with 9/11. Mm-hmm. So they had, in their eyes, just cause and revenge on their mind, if anything. I'm not sure that exists now. Certainly not 9/11.
I think his MAGA base certainly didn't want him to be doing this sort of thing.
So, to your point, I don't know how. If this goes on more than a couple of months, I think it could get very, very, very ugly in the press.
Yeah,
and public opinion as well, especially if UK get involved.
Yeah, well, I just can't see us getting. Other than you can use our bases, I just can't see us getting properly involved. I don't think Starmer's decisive enough. And I think if he was decisive enough, I think he knows that there's no stomach for it in this country.
What if Iran fires a missile at us?
It's difficult, isn't it?
Apparently Iranian missiles can reach the UK.
Can they? Mm-hmm. I didn't know that. Yeah, that would be interesting.
Or touch with, I think once something like this starts, how long is it, and God forbid something like this happens, and I'm touching all the wood I can, but, until a bomb goes off in an underground railway station again, or there's an explosion in the metro in Paris.
Yeah, I mean, this ultimately is what this sort of stuff leads to, isn't it? That is what it leads to ultimately. And no matter how much you feel like you might be trying to help people, ultimately you end up looking like the imperialist oppressor, don't you?
Well, but also we as a Western, let's say, series of nations, we can hit them harder than they can hit us, but they can probably hurt us harder than we can hurt them, because they can do isolated threats to a very civilized nation, peaceful nation, basically. Like you had with 7/7 and even far worse, 9/11.
Yeah.
They can hit us where it really hurts. That is the worry here.
Yeah.
We can go and decimate their land, and we can level their cities to the ground, but it wouldn't stop them.
Look at Afghanistan. Just wait it out, and then you'll be back in power and doing exactly the things you were doing before, only probably worse. So, on that positive note, I think we've just about covered what we were supposed to do. We were going to talk a little bit about what Tony Blair would have done in this situation, but we're now going to do a full episode on Tony Blair because there's been a documentary on Channel 4. So our next episode will be talking about the Tony Blair documentary that was on Channel 4 and Bill's encounters with Tony and basically how New Labour managed all of the press and stuff like that. So hopefully you'll tune in for that one next time. For the moment, we will say goodbye.
Bye for now.
Bye.